Welcome back to the channel. I'm Colin, and in this video, I will be reviewing the Buchardt Audio P300. I've had a P300 for about a month now, and I've been using them almost daily. So they should be fully run in, and I have quite a good idea on how they sound. If you never heard of Buchardt Audio, they are a Danish speaker manufacturer that utilize a direct sale method, where they ship you the speakers directly when you purchase from the website. They don't have distributors like many traditional hi-fi companies do. So when you purchase a speaker from them, you get in touch with them, the people at Buchardt Audio, directly. Another cool thing about purchasing from Buchardt Audio is that all the prices you see on their website already include all shipping costs, import duties, and taxes. So you don't need to worry about surprises on import duties. The price you see is the final price you will pay. Now let's look at their passive speaker lineup. The P300 we have here is their entry-level speaker at 1400 euros. It's extremely similar to its bigger brother, the S400 Mark II. That is 2100 euros. The only difference between them is that the S400 has a better crossover and binding posts, and woofers that can handle more power. Then we have the E50, their flagship passive speaker that's made from solid wood. The unboxing is fairly straightforward. The P300s come with a set of magnetic grills, but I think they look much cooler without the grills on. The P300s are stored in two individual cloth bags. Just make sure not to apply too much pressure to the drivers and passive radiators when you take the speakers out. The magnetic grills attach onto the 4 screws on the woofer. This is how it looks. Seeing the P300s for the first time on Buchardt Audio's website, I was immediately drawn to the look of the speakers. It looks clean, simple, and very modern in my opinion. It's a speaker that will fit very well in a modern home based on its looks. I also really like how the waveguide and the woofer is the exact same diameter. Gives its look a very good symmetry and balance. I received the review unit in white, and pairing with the black waveguide and woofer, it gives it a bit of a panda look. Now let's talk about the build quality. Before I saw the actual speakers, I thought the huge waveguide was made of some kind of plastic. But actually it's casted from metal and has a very nice satin black coating on it. There's also an embossed Buchardt logo on the waveguide. It looks and feels like a very well-made part. Unlike most speakers utilizing MDF for its cabinets, the P300 uses HMR fiberboard to make its cabinet. According to Google, HMR is a denser, stronger, and more expensive material than MDF. It's also more resistant to moisture, making the boards less prone to warping or swelling. The HMR boards used are just 50mm on the speakers, allowing the P300 to have a very thin bezel, which adds to the modern look of the speakers. The cabinets are actually not a box shape. Its front and back panels are slanted, making the side profile of the cabinets shaped like a parallelogram. I'm not sure if this has any acoustic benefits, but I think it's a pretty cool design element. On the back, there's a huge passive radiator and a pair of 5-way binding posts. Just so you know, these binding posts will not fit full-size banana plugs, but they are well made and the connection feels secure. Let's talk about the technical specifications. The P300 is a 2-way speaker. It features a 6-inch paper woofer, an extra small tweeter that helps with off-axis performance, and a 4-inch x 8-inch passive radiator that Buchardt says allows them to reduce the cabinet size by 30%, making them produce more and deeper bass than they should for the cabinet size. The P300 has an impedance of 4 ohms and a sensitivity of 86 decibels, an average efficiency rating, not a super efficient speaker. Now let's talk about the sound. I would say the P300 is quite a neutral sounding speaker with a bass boost. The mid-range and treble is relatively colorless. Reminds me of my Genelec speakers. The mid-range and treble is slightly laid back and veiled without any toe-in, and can be overpowered by the bass. That's why most reviewers suggest a relatively large toe-in angle for the placement of the P300. Although the upper mid-range and treble is more relaxed, it still reveals a lot of resolution and details in tracks, but in a more natural manner. Although the bass can be overpowering and boomy when placed too close to a wall, I think it's very well controlled with a decent distance from the wall. I have mine placed 2 feet from the wall, and I can hear a good separation between the mid-bass and the vocals. Vocals don't sound thick or muddy. Bass still sounds very powerful and dives very deep with these tiny speakers. The P300 really sounds larger than its size. The bass has the ability to fill the room and make them sound like a pair of floor-standing speakers. Here's how the P300 measures in my room. I was able to create a pretty flat and linear frequency response with placement. There's still some bass boost, which I enjoy, but there aren't any weird peaks in the mid-range and treble that will cause listening fatigue. Overall, it's a speaker that's easy to position if you have enough distance from the back wall, and it has a sound signature that measures and sounds natural that I can listen for a long time without feeling fatigued. When I swapped from the Warfordale Denton 85 to the P300, I was astonished how much more bass it was able to produce. The Denton 85 basically has the same woofer size, but the difference was obvious. The P300 was able to produce bass that dives a lot deeper around the sub-bass region. You get a much better bass response, especially if you listen to a lot of movie soundtracks and classical music that requires bass that goes down quite deep. Maybe the passive radiator on the P300 really does play an important role in the bass performance. Comparing the mid-range and treble presentation between the two speakers, the Denton has a classic British monitor mid-range. It has a warmth in the tonality and a boost in upper mid-range and treble to boost clarity. Vocals have a slight forwardness to them, while the P300, it just sounds much more neutral and cleaner. There isn't that added warmth in the mid-range that Denton possesses, and the treble is more relaxed in comparison. It's very difficult to explain neutral. I've recorded a sound demo of the Denton and the P300. Check out the video if you want to hear the difference for yourself, and see what other people have to say in the comment section. Upon first listen, you might feel that the Denton has more upper region detail due to its frequency response. But after playing the P300 for longer, I found that the P300 was able to resolve just as much detail with its tiny tweeter and large waveguide. It's just presented in a less in-your-face way. The mid-range of the P300 also has more air when compared, and is able to float better than the Denton. Soundstage and imaging. I was able to get a very deep soundstage with the P300 in my room. The center imaging had pinpoint accuracy, and the soundstage extended beyond the front wall. The soundstage width was also wider than the Denton 85. This is probably the price to pay for having the front baffle design on the Dentons. The P300 is better in every aspect in soundstage and imaging in my experience, but what really stood out to me was the depth it was able to produce. Another trait of the P300 is that the sweet spot is very wide. The imaging doesn't shift much even if I move a foot left or right from my listening position. This isn't the case on my Dentons. It's probably an advantage of the huge waveguide and small tweeter. Thanks to the large waveguide design, the edge diffraction can be reduced, making the P300 disappear in the room. Regarding amp pairing, I've tried the P300 with two amps, the Class AB Mission 778X and the Fosse Audio ZA3. Both amps can drive the P300 to hearing damaging levels without distortion. Paired with the 778X, the sound had more tonal weight to it, and it seemed to have more low-end information when compared to the ZA3. The home sound signature sounded warmer, and the mid-range and treble sounded more relaxed. On the other hand, when paired with the ZA3, it sounded a bit more leaner, and there was slightly less bass with the pairing. The upper mid-range and treble had more energy with the Fosse. I've also created a sound demo with the P300 paired with two amps. Check that out to hear it for yourself. In my opinion, pairing the P300 with the Fosse amps sounded more neutral and sterile, perhaps more tonally correct, but may sound too clinical for some. And with the Mission amp, it sounded richer and fuller with some sacrifices in the upper frequency clarity. Overall, I would say the P300 works well on various amps and isn't picky about amplifier pairings. It accurately reflects the sound characteristics of different amps. Even a $150 budget Class D amplifier does reasonably well in driving the P300s. Although I thoroughly enjoyed the month of time I had with the P300, it does have some attributes that make it not suitable for everyone. If you're someone that is really limited with speaker placement, the P300 might not be for you. Most speakers need to be placed further from the front wall to sound good, but on the P300, that distance is crucial to maintain a good tonality with the bass. If the P300 is placed too close to the wall, it will result in boomy and overpowering bass in most home environments. So if you're someone that have to place the P300 in a bookshelf or on a TV cabinet that has close proximity to the wall, I would suggest you pair it with equipment with room correction or look at other speakers. I was told by Matt from Buchardt Audio that the S400 Mark II does better in these circumstances, though I haven't tried them out yet. In my opinion, the P300 not only needs space from the front wall to sound good, but it needs enough room just to sound correct due to the bass response it has. But if you are able to give it some room, in return you'll get deep room-filling bass that makes a subwoofer optional in many circumstances. In summary, the P300 is a pair of speakers I really like. In almost every small bookshelf speaker review, usually the conclusion is that they sound larger than they actually are. But for the P300, they really do. And I think they do that very well. If I never knew about these speakers and seen them in an audio show, I would be looking around for a subwoofer based on the low end it produces. It's safe to say these would produce enough low end to fill most rooms within 15 square meters. So if you want full range sound without lugging around a subwoofer in your living room, I would definitely consider the P300. Now it's the sad part for me in this review. These were sent to me on loan and I'll have to part with them soon. I honestly seriously considered buying the P300 and not return them. But what intrigued me was the Buchardt S400 and E50. If the entry-level speaker can do so much, I'm really curious what the higher-end models can do. And the fact that Buchardt E50 just looks absolutely gorgeous with a solid wood cabinet made me hold back on my decision on keeping the P300. By the way, if you want to try out a Buchardt product at home like I did, there's a return policy where you can try for 45 days and return it for a fee of €100 if you decide not to keep them. So this is the end of my review. In general, the Buchardt P300 looks and sound like what I really like. a simplistic and modern look with a mostly neutral sound signature and an immersive bass response. I think I will miss them when I part with them, but as a reviewer, there are still many speakers that I want to try out in the future, so I have to let it go for now. This is the first speaker review on my channel, and I hope I did okay. Let me know if you have any experiences with Buchardt Audio products in the comments. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you found it useful. Thank you for watching.